All right, we're here with Jessie Gibson. What's up, Jesse?
What's happening?
Good to see you, buddy. How's New York weather treating you?
I don't know. I don't go outside anymore. It's good. We're in a pandemic.
Now, I saw that New York is going to lift their restrictions and open back up. Is that really happening?
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, I think they're still open. I think their outdoor dining's still open. I think they're
Oh,
gonna open back up. Yeah, I mean that's the De Blasio thing, right? He's been like, they say one thing and then they let him do something. So they're like, let's do outdoor, and then everybody builds outdoor, and then they're like, oh, you can't do it, shut it down. So
yeah, yeah. After
you
these
know,
companies spent tens of thousands of dollars doing
yeah,
outdoor stuff and they shut everything down again. They're doing the same thing as San Diego. They keep messing with them as well.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, you know, let's just focus on getting some vaccines or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about hospitality. Let's talk about before you were in New York, you were in Las Vegas. Let's talk about how you got into hospitality, what jobs you held, what venues you worked at, all that fun stuff.
Oh, hospital! What a memory. Yeah, I mean, before I was here, how did I get into hospitality? I mean, my parents owned a restaurant when I was growing up, so I kind of did that. I always like in high school. You always want to I always want to work as a waiter because everybody I knew that worked as a waiter always made money, but no one would ever hire me as a waiter. So, but when I was in I got my first job was a bar back. What was this, 2004? Yeah, 2004. I was a bar back at Skin at the Palms, and then we
That's where we met, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we had that one awesome day where like we got crushed. It was just the two of us on that one bar, and like throwing bottles back and forth because we only had like one bottle of like triple sec.
You know, what's funny is that right when you said it, that I got the remembering of that day. And that's
Yeah,
actually a fun day. We got rocked.
yeah, you made money though.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, yeah,
Man,
yeah. So then
remember that? Remember when we set up that whole pool and that gust of wind would come and all the cups and straws everything go right into
oh
the
yeah,
pool? Like, God damn it! They built
yeah,
that pool like a wind tunnel.
yeah. Remember that was the day when it was Chuck Liddell was sitting at the bar, and it was like, "Hey, he works at Body English." He's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "It's a new club opening, and I'm going to a new pool party called Rehab in like a week. You should come hang out with us."
Yeah, I was moonlighting at the Hard Rock and the Palms at the same time.
Yeah, that was like the right around when we walked up when what's his name, like, there's no chance you're getting in Ghost Bar in sneakers, and then like, how did you guys get up here?
The back elevator. I remember I was like, I'm the only guy up here in white shoes, and this it got surrounded by security.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so I did that. I mean, that was my first job in Vegas was doing that. Yeah, so I was a bar back, and then I worked for Ian, who was like, I'm like, because they just launched Rehab, and it was like crazy. They had like 2 days ago or something like that. So he ended up taking over as GM of the Hard Rock Pool, and then brought me over. It's like I think my second day at Rehab was Memorial Day Friday, and it was just that was crazy.
That's a fun day to get thrown in.
Yeah. So then I worked the summer as a bar back there, and then MJ got me they had a financial analyst position there, so I took a job up there as a financial analyst. But it was like a position they never. It was an entry level, right? So it was like less than 30K a year, and I just came from rehab making a ton of money, so.
Making 30K a month. Word of the day is gangster.
I knew that was coming up. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like, if you could go and work at any place that like blows up, they don't expect to blow up, those are the best place to work. You make a ton of money, it's fun, all the cool people are there. Once they start to like, I still don't understand, like, the first thing everybody does when they open a bar is like, we need 42 bartenders, and then nobody makes money, and everybody quits and leaves. And anyway, yeah. So I did that, and then I was working at the Hard Rock. Like, so I was a financial analyst at the Hard Rock, and then MJ let me. I was still picking up like banquet shifts on the weekends to make extra money, and then I got a job as a busser for opening at Pure. So I was working during the day and then opening at Pure at night, and then so I did that for a little bit. Yeah, and then I think that's when Randy left Pure to Villa, and then I got into he got into promoting, so I was like promoting that, and probably was you were doing Pink Taco.
Yeah.
Thursday, the karaoke Pink Taco.
Yo quiero karaoke.
Yeah, it's between that, yeah, had that, and then what else?
We used to call that was it Blackout Wednesdays to give me 100 drink tickets, and I think me and you would drink about 75 of them.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, it was like yeah, and it was, I don't know, I was like 25 in Vegas. We're on the circuit. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, pretty much. I had a lot of respect for you there because you had that Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job too, and we're still going out every night.
Yeah, I remember when I did, because I was promoting Wednesdays at Tao. I was still working at Pure. I was doing banquets on Fridays and Saturdays at Hard Rock, and then I was still working as an analyst. And Chad Powell's like, dude, you fucking out partying all the time. I was like, bro, I got off work an hour and a half ago. I haven't drank anything in 2 weeks. I'm like, I also haven't slept about 3 days. So like, but yeah, so I kind of did all that. And then when Randy left, the financial analyst stuff really helped me because it was like the Excel and keeping lists and all that. I did a lot of database marketing, email marketing, that kind of stuff. I always had like an affinity for like tech. So yeah, when Randy left Pure, when they he brought me over to me and Mike Manelli over to Angel Music Group. So we were running all the promotions for Angel Music Group for what was it Maria Beach. We were doing Taboo on Thursdays. and then because we were doing that, we ended up taking over Wednesdays at Tao for a while. And then I went full independent host. Between that, we ran all the promotion for Red Rock for Station Casinos for a while too.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, and then yeah, that was I got lucky with the independent hosting because I had a couple, 4 or 5 guys that just spent way too much money.
So the independent hosting, for a lot of people who don't know, that's basically, you're out on your own, but you're not tied to one venue. You could bring customers to any venue, and then you got a commission off their table sales.
Yeah. So it's like you're like an outside sales you do outside sales for everybody. I had one guy from a couple Saudi dudes that spent a lot of money. I had a couple gaming deals that so it didn't really. You work 10 days a month, but when they come in, the thing that sucked about it is when they you have too much downtime, and then when they come into town, it's everything shuts down. Doesn't matter what you're doing if when they come into town that you go to them, which isn't really like a job. It seems more like a.
But when you have clients that are blowing $100,000 in a week or something, you're getting a commission to that. That's when you drop everything and go out and party with them, right?
Yeah, but it's for me it was hard because you make that money and then it'd be they don't come back for 6 to 8 weeks. So also me and Mike, we were probably dumb though. We would launch that right during the 2008 credit crisis.
Yeah, that was a rough time.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so so I did that until 2013, and then I was dating. I probably quit. I got out of nightlife after when I knew it was time. It was I remember I was at. I think it was when Tony Verdugo got sick.
Yeah.
And they had the big GoFundMe for him and stuff, and I was like, dude, you're supposed to be a psychotic person in the industry, and you need to raise money you have no health insurance, you have nothing, and and I was like, and I feel like in Vegas time passes really fast, so I was like, if I don't watch it, I'm gonna be 50 and be an independent host somewhere hanging out talking about the good times of Vegas.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what happens to a lot of people. How many times do we hear, one more season, one more summer, one more year, and 5-10 years go by, and okay, now I'm 5-10 years older doing the same thing.
Yeah, and so for me, I knew that I couldn't like I'm not somebody like I don't do very well like one foot in, one foot out. So I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I just need to like do it and just I can't. I'm not doing nightlife. So I burned the bridges. So or burned the what's the saying? Burn the boats.
Or in the boats, one of my favorite
So
sayings.
I was in Houston with one of my clients and literally just gave all of my other clients away to somebody when they were coming in town. I'm like, no, talk to him now. So I had no more clients. And then I was like dating a girl and she wanted to move to New York. She was from New York. I was working with a light group, and then ended up coming back to New York. She lived in Vegas, but she's planning on coming back to New York and asked if she's like we were only dating like 3 or 4 months. But she's like, I don't know what you're doing, but if you want to, you have a place in New York to stay if you want to come. So I was like, if I stay, I'm not doing anything in Vegas. So I went to New York.
So now, do you miss working in the industry at all?
Yeah, I mean, you missed the. I guess I don't know. I've done a lot of like the like personal, spiritual, like a lot of meditation, some like mushroom stuff, like a lot of meditation. And like the ego part of me, I guess, misses it because it's like you have a lot of friends, everyone's having fun, blah 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 blah. But I don't know, not really. I mean, for me, like with the stuff, what I used to like the most is like the setup, like the prepping for the night, and then like that weird feeling like shit, no one's coming. What if no one shows up? You know what I mean? Like that was the thing that I always liked, and then I always like like I like the it's work. Like it's not like sometimes you sit behind a computer or whatever. It's not you don't feel like you're working. Whereas like you're working, you're running around. You're like it's actual work.
Yeah, you can see the progression. Like you said, we spent all those hours getting venues set up and
Yeah.
organizing everything, mapping out tables, guest lists, doing all that stuff, and then the doors open.
Yeah.
It's like go 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 crazy crazy crazy, and then it all shuts down and closes, and then you're counting your money at the end of the night. And you're like that sense of accomplishment that you had. You're
Right.
like, wow, I just pulled off something that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I mean, like when we were doing like a lot of like the promotion stuff or whatever. Like you're definitely like helping people have a great time. You're doing bachelorette parties, and you're going to be a part of the like not necessarily part of their life, but like they'll if they had a great time, they'll always like, oh, remember we went to Vegas and this time was amazing, and so you definitely leave an impact on people. But like I don't know, I don't miss that. I don't miss the chaoticness of it.
Yeah, I think it was a good part about it and a bad part about it. Well, what do you think was like your favorite thing about working in hospitality and your least favorite thing about working in hospitality?
Favorite thing about, I mean, which part? I mean, the people you get to meet. Like the cool thing about the hospitality, especially in Vegas, was like the people you meet. Like I'm sure it's everywhere, but it's I've met everybody from like royal family people to professional athletes to whatever, and to finance people to like just normal Midwestern people. I think it gives you good perspective on like people in general.
Yeah.
What don't I like about it?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I think
everything.
My least favorite thing is that there was no like real. I mean, it's kind of a fucked up industry, right? It's like it sets you up for like it's okay to drink on the job. You're working at night. You only get paid. I don't know. A lot of the venues make a ton of money, and like the people that work at them don't make very much money. And they give it's like bare bones. Most places didn't give healthcare, health insurance, like 401k, anything like that.
Yeah, they work you to the bone and expect you to live healthy lives so they can keep working you to the bone, and they don't give you the tools you need for it. And like you said, it's a lot of people don't realize like the toxicity of the nightlife industry. Like the hours, the unhealthy lifestyle of drinking every night because it's you're expected to, or you're around it constantly.
Yeah.
And then the hours that we work. I mean, how many times did you work? Over 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day, you're doing doubles, back to backs. Changing in your car for the next shift to work another 8 hours and grabbing whatever you can to eat along the way. Like just the unhealthy lifestyle of it was really rough.
Or not even grabbing what you need, eating off the banquet trays in the back because you're working like, double or something.
Yeah, remember like bartending in rehab, I'd keep one like black and hockey sandwich at the bottom of the cooler, and every time someone ordered a beer, I'd take a bite. It took me like
Yeah.
6 hours to eat one sandwich.
Yeah. I mean,
That's all the time I had.
I used to get to rehab at 7, set everything up, and like I wouldn't get home till 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like, I mean, that was a different because you made a ton of money there, so it wasn't like, you know, you
yeah,
make
it was worth it. When the end of the night or the end of the week, when you're counting all that money, you're like, all right,
yeah,
I
yeah,
got beat, I got the shit kicked out of me, but
yeah,
look at all the cash I got.
yeah, but I mean, I think that ends up putting you in like it's almost like a negative feedback loop, right? So it's like you do that, and then you're like, oh, I've been hanging out, working all this time. Let's go off and get a drink. So then you go drink, and then you're like, oh, I have all this cash. Let's like spend more money because I want to be happy for the one day I have off, and then like then you're broke again. Then you go back to like, then you do it all over again.
Yeah, it's the never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
God, how many thousands of dollars we spent on like bottle service, like just being ballers. Hey, let's go buy a bottle. We got a pocket full of money. I mean, that's just you look back and now it's the stupidest thing we could have done.
Yeah, we're walking out drunk and let's play craps.
Yeah. Hey, we had some good times playing craps.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I remember one incident at the MGM.
MGM, New York, and they got kicked out of the Jackalope for trying to count cards at 5 in the morning.
I think we got kicked out of a lot of places.
Yeah.
What if you go back and change anything, what would you change? Or what would you even change anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think like yes. So it's like this goes back to the other question, right? Like I think the other thing with the toxicity with like, when we were coming up with nightlife, it was like that light group like Stevie D mentality where they just scream at you and yell at you and this and that. Where it's like I think that's counterproductive to everything. I don't think that like a lot of people pat themselves on the back in Vegas for like throwing all these big events and say they did all this like great stuff, but it's like, if you put Tiesto at a venue and there's 3 clubs in Vegas, you're probably going to do pretty well. Like don't think you're, so like it's just the egos on people, so I think that, and then but like for me growing up in that, like when we launched our company, we just got to take that this is how things are done. So we did the same thing, and I think that if I could go back, it would be to, try and train people better, try and be nicer to a lot of more people, Yeah,
that's one thing about the ego in Las Vegas. I mean, think about everyone's got their, matte black BMWs, Mercedes, their $1,000 suits, and they're living in like 1-bedroom apartments.
Yeah,
you fake the front.
They're Hermes belt buckles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
go ahead.
Well, when did you realize that you wanted to get out? Was it that when Tony got sick? Like,
I think it was like it was what's it called? I think it was the opening of Crazy Horse 3. Tony just got sick. We went to Crazy Horse 3, and one of the dudes was what's his name? Used to be a host at Light. Not Reggie, but one of the guys who used to be a host at Light was like running the back door and like I was like, oh, you're like 60 and like a host at a strip club. And I just saw that projection of like, you're going to, and not that there's anything wrong with that. It just, for me, it was a combination of that and probably the fact that like when I first got into it, I really cared about like taking care of people and whatever. And I was kind of burnt out and got to the point where like, I just didn't care. Like, if it was about getting cash and that was it.
The word of the day is gangster.
Yeah, but I mean, even like when I used to have a lot of my clients, I met them because like I took really good care of everybody, and at the end, I just didn't care. I just didn't show up for stuff. It was like it didn't really matter, and I just there was other things I was doing. Like I remember I had a guy that came in to spend. He ordered 100 bottles of Cristal. And the manager called me. He's like, "Yo, your guy's here with 100. You ordered 100 bottles of Cristal." I was like, "Did his card go through?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "The fuck, do I need to come down for?" Like, the shit just went through. What do you want me to do? Like, and then that's when I was just kind of like, dude, I should be doing this.
Yeah, if a customer like that can't get you out of bed, I think the motivation's gone.
Yeah.
How do you think, like, do you think because of all the experiences and all the stuff you did, they kind of changed your perception of the people? Like, we all go into like wanting to serve people and hit people, but then dealing with all the people when they come to Vegas, obviously we deal with a lot of people that come in like kind of degrade you and talk down to you because you're just a bartender, you're just a Vegas guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But I dealt with that a lot behind the bar. Like, so are you just a bartender? Like, dude, I work 3 days a week. I make $100,000 a year, and fucking my life's good. But what do you do? But people look at you like you're just a bartender, and then that always really messed with me psychologically. I'm like, God, am I just a bartender? Like, and then remember I got into management. I was like, oh, you're a manager now. I'm like, yeah, I'm a broke, stressed out manager making $32,000 a year. I'm like, but my business card says manager, and people are like, oh, you got a lot more respect. I'm like, dude, I'm broke. I'm stressed. I hate my life. Like, this is terrible. So I'd always go back to bartending because that was the easy money. But then again, you get that whole thing like, oh, you're just a bartender.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you and me both did the like we could have went and got been a manager at like a nice fine dining restaurant or something like that off the strip. That's pays a lot more, but like
how
you
boring
want to be,
would that be?
Yeah, but you want to be where the action's at, right? Like I wanted to be at the coolest new spot. I wanted to be, I don't know. It's
that's one of the reasons why I could never go like that fine dining route. I just sitting around being proper and very slow pace. Like that's never been me. I couldn't do it. Yeah. I think that's why I worked at Hard Rock instead of like the Win.
That's exactly why you got us kicked out of Prime at the Bellagio.
Oh, I got us kicked out.
Anyway, no, I mean, I don't think that I don't think like I don't know. I think people looking back retrospectively, I don't think it really changed my idea of people. I think that Vegas, like now that I'm out of it, like if I went to Vegas and I spent $5,000 on a table, like I want service, so like, I might have, you might have an attitude about things. I think if anything, it changed hospitality for me. Like the idea of the sound of going to a nightclub, like or like waiting in line for something for a long time. Like I don't want to wait for stuff, and I don't really,
Did you ever wait in line? I can't remember every time you or I ever waited in line for more than 30 seconds before we either talked our way in or got our way in.
No, but what I'm saying is now is it's like like when I came to New York, I didn't know anybody. I knew one guy that Mike Diamond introduced me to, who was a nightlife. So like we could go to if he was around, but it's like, like do I want to wait to sit in line to Marquee here to go see Marcus Schultz that I've seen 16,000 times? No, yeah. I don't. Am I gonna put money down for a bottle to spend $1,500 to go sit in a club? Like, no, it's like,
And then do you think that kind of ruins us? Like we did experience so much. Like think about things that you did 6-7 nights a week. People save up months and months to come do once a year.
Yeah.
And so that kind of like ruins us to where like, you kind of lose the excitement. Like, dude, I've been to every DJ booth. I've partied with billionaires. I've, hung out with celebrities. I've literally done it all. Now you're just kind of like, all right.
I mean,
like not as exciting anymore.
Yeah. I think that after, like when I tried, like after I left hospitality, that's where I kind of experienced the other people where they're like, oh, you were just a promoter in Vegas. And it's like, you try and tie skills back to like, what you do. And I'm like, oh, it's basically outside sales. Like, yeah, but it's for nightclubs. And I'm like, yeah, I sold like $13 million a year. Like that's more than your fucking company makes right now. Like, what do you...
Yeah.
But then you like go down that route, and it's like, it's like it was. I don't know. I almost needed all that because like you end up. It ends up humbling you, right? So it's like you end up going all the way to, not getting a job forever or getting shitty job offers. I don't know.
How many times did you think you tried to get out before you successfully made the transition?
Oh, I didn't try and get out. I one time.
That was it. Well, one and done.
Yep, but I always liked it, and then when I decided I didn't like it, I was like, yeah, this is not working anymore.
And how did you feel that last day? You knew you're gonna resign, and you were like, all right, this is it. I'm out.
I didn't really have that because I didn't I had worked for myself, so it was like, it was I knew I wasn't doing it, and I like. So the way it kind of went down is like I had a bunch of guys from LA or something, whatever, Houston in town, and I was with a client. I just was like, "Hey, text this dude now. I'm not doing this anymore."
He's like,
And that
stop
was it.
calling me for this
Like,
crap. I'm over it.
well, it, it was like 15 dudes. So like, I did that, and when like as soon as they started calling other people, like that was it was it. So I kind of like burned the boats. Couldn't go back.
Yeah.
And then it was like like I went back for what's it called? It was kind of fun. I went back to with Bob and opened up Temple in Denver like a year and a half ago.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So, but I mean, even then, I was like, I did it for. I got there in September. We opened October. I worked November, December, New Year's Eve, and like 3 days after that, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I can't. Like, there's a reason I got out of nightlife.
Hey, how's your lifestyle change been now that you know you can go to bed a decent hour and have a normal life?
eh, it's the same. I mean, it's New York, so it's like, like being in New York. It's you. I go. I do. I'm a lot healthier now. I mean, with the quarantine stuff, I'm super healthy because we don't. I cook everything. Not really drinking at all.
Yeah.
And that, but like when I first moved here, it was. I mean, we started a company in New York that was a media company about drinking called Thirsty. So like I literally just went from bar to bar to bar and drank all night. So the
Yeah.
drinking didn't get any better, but like it wasn't. Not everything was so pretentious. It wasn't all nightlife. It wasn't. It was more about like on the hunt to like try and find a good drink and a good cocktail as opposed to like you know whatever the other thing was.
I thought that gig was great because I remember when I came out to visit, you walked us into every single venue in New York, and I'm like, what the venues I didn't even know existed. Venues I'm sure we shouldn't even have been at. But they're amazing.
Yeah, a little small, the small little cocktail bars. Yeah, I mean that was fun. It was it's but like we were going to like get content and stuff. So I was like media. From there I got into like a lot of photography, which is cool. But
what are you doing now?
I'm a technologist at a marketing strategy agency called Part and Some.
Nice. Did you feel like all the skills you made and like working in hospitality kind of transitioned you into that?
I think that the being able to talk to people that like that kind of stuff like it helped a lot. I think that after I left and then it's like that I don't really know what I want to do, so I just did a lot of different things, tech stuff. I think that like I try to go the exact opposite of hospitality, into like programming or something like that. Which I think was good because you're not like hospitality adjacent, so you don't like not tempted to go back, But I think I mean it took me I don't know 2 years after hospitality like to get a decent job and paid a little bit of money, and then from there you start learning.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people say when they make that transition. You're going to you're definitely going to take a pay cut unless you're one of the very few lucky ones. But eventually, you'll get back to the money you're making and have that better quality of lifestyle.
Yeah, and so I mean it's I think that like I needed that that time to like for the ego to go away and that kind of stuff to like because now it's more about like stuff I'm actually interested in and and it's about learning so.
So now you obviously like programming and stuff isn't really something you learn while promoting nightclubs and stuff. So were you like teaching yourself that stuff on the side?
Yeah. So we built a website. So I built like in Vegas it was like an arms race between promoters. So it was like one person would go to the airport and hand out flyers, and somebody would be in LA with flyers. And so like when I was at the Hard Rock? Oh no, a buddy of mine worked at Venetian, and they did a whole study that like people start planning their trips like 38 days before they're coming to Vegas. So I was like, how can I get in the mind of people before they're coming to Vegas? So we launched a website called Vegas Pool Season that like we launched it like on a Christmas Eve of 2011 or 20 something like that, and we're number one on Google for like 1,100 things within 3 to 4 months, and like we didn't have enough money to pay like actual developers. So I was writing stuff and then figuring out how to do WordPress and build that stuff out. And then I just kind of looked like my dad's in construction. I just kind of looked at like learning how to program is kind of like I want to build something. I don't know how to do it. I don't like the feeling of being helpless, and like, I don't feel like, I feel like if you're going to do anything, especially now, if you don't know some kind of programming or some kind of technology, like you're so far behind
Yeah, I admire kids nowadays who grow up, they grow up with laptops, phones. I mean, every 4-year-old kid I know has an iPhone. I mean,
Yeah.
I still remember typing up my reports for school on a typewriter in high school.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember in college, I had to go to what's called computer lab to print our stuff out.
Yeah. It's crazy. And like you want to look something up, you had to go to the library. You couldn't just pull out
Yeah.
your phone and go to Google real quick. Ask
Yeah.
Siri.
Yeah. It's back when you had friends that you guys have disagreements for months because no one would go look it up and you just wouldn't budge. Now people are like, oh, no, you're wrong. I'm like, sometimes you just want to argue with somebody.
Yeah, and then now it's instant. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, never mind, whatever.
Yeah.
It takes the fun out of it. What's some advice you can give to people that are kind of looking to get out of the industry, trying to think of what to do next and how to make their exit?
Unless you absolutely love real estate, don't go be a real estate agent. Like, I mean,
Yeah, too many of them already.
I mean, and it's cool. If you actually love real estate and you want to do that, like 100%, but it's it's a different game, and it's like most of that stuff's like commission only, so you're not getting paid. I would say, take before you quit, take a bunch of time to figure out what you want to do. Like, if and you can get into like, like if you want to get into government, you can like probably go pick up a thing interning or volunteer somewhere, and you gotta build that network of like people, so when you go to leave, people aren't like, oh, you're just a bartender. Oh, you're a cocktail waitress, I mean, I couldn't even imagine what cocktail waitresses would get if they're like, considering like we got what we got, and then people are like, oh, you worked at Excess as a cocktail waitress? Oh, cool.
Yeah, and again, people look down on that, but these girls are making over $100,000 a year,
right?
Working a few days a week with no real responsibility and having a good time. Like, I mean, that's most people's dream.
Yeah, but those Louboutins and Louis bags do not come cheap.
No, they don't. And unfortunately, that's what comes up in a lot of these talks is that, people wish if they can go back, they would have been a lot better with their finances, study financial literacy, make some investments instead of buying those, $1,000 bags and having $1,000 a month car payments,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never got into like the car stuff. I mean, I had a client that had a bunch of cars in Vegas. So like there was a bunch of Lambos and Ferraris and all that stuff always around. And it was cool, but like I never got into that. I think it was like the trips, the hospitality, like you go out and get a shot for 42 people on that gets expensive.
Yeah. Especially nowadays, dude. Well, like shots now are like $15, $20. Like remember back when we were buying round shots, it was like $10.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vegas is way too expensive anyway. But
it's insane. I was talking to someone the other day, like the same exact like Sky vodka and cranberry juice that we used to charge like $4.50 for is now like $12, $13.
Yeah,
you can't tell me there's like a shortage on Sky vodka and cranberry juice.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's also even. I mean that, and it's also like with with the like, nightclubs are following anyway, and there's a lot more of them opening. It's like the demand's not there, so it's like it's hard for me to justify paying any of that stuff.
Yeah.
When I'm like, oh, you need 5,000 people to come in, like you need me to come in and drink something like that. But no, I mean, I think the hospitality, working in hospitality definitely, or at least the Vegas version, definitely helped me get over that whole material thing. Like I don't really care about clothes and cars and all that stuff. But
that's what a lot of people. I mean, there's different spectrums of hospitality. There's people that are working in like Denny's in Oklahoma, and then there's people that are working in Excess nightclub at the pinnacle of what it was.
Yeah. So I think to go back to answer the question though, if you're gonna like advice I'd have to leaving, like I did a bunch of like online programming classes and that kind of stuff, and they were cool, but they don't get you to what you need, and the certification programs. But like if you don't know what you want to do, I'd go pick 4 or 5 different things that you think you might want to do, and then take a class. And if you can't take a class about what you think you want to do, then you probably don't like it enough to like do it. So definitely don't do that after you leave. Like if you can't sit, if it takes you longer than a month or two to pass the real estate exam because you don't want to study, you probably don't want to be a realtor. You know what I mean? If you can't like programming stuff, like you just have to do it. So if you can't sit down and program for a couple hours, at least once a week, like you probably don't want to be a programmer. You know.
Yeah.
But I think it's good with like Google and Apple. I think Google, Apple, Facebook, they all have like certification programs that are um, you can do a bunch of that stuff. It's all free. Build some projects.
Yeah. I interviewed a guy who works for we used to bartend at Hard Rock actually. I don't know if you remember Billy Bob. He works for Salesforce now, and he says, his company offers free training. They'll hire people. You just go on their website and get these free trainings, get certified, and they would hire people.
Yeah. I mean, I did an AWS one. I did a bunch of stuff for Amazon. I was actually interviewing with Amazon when I got this job. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just you just got to figure out what you actually want to do, because you're gonna spend a lot of time doing it. So it's like if it has to be rewarding. You have to find it a little bit challenging.
You think the hardest part about people transitioning is making that quick, easy money and good money, and then having to do more work for knowing it's less money. So why bother doing the work?
No, I mean, I think that I don't think people give a lot of thought of what they actually want to do. I think they say, I like most people got into hospitality not because they wanted to do it, just because you were a kid, you got out of school, you had to work, or you were working doing that, and then you got to, especially in Vegas, you get a job, I mean, I think a lot of kids grow up like, oh, I can be a bartender, I can be a host, I can be, so because you make a shit ton of money, or at least they did back in the day. But I think if you really sit down and think about what you want to do, I mean, like you're an example, like you've done real estate, you've done all sorts of stuff, but
we had a clothing company at one time.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of it's like reactionary. So like you quit your job, you don't want to do this anymore, and then you're like, oh, I'll go be a realtor, or I'll go sell cars, or I don't know what other people do. What else? Pharmaceutical sales.
Yeah. There's a lot of it, and it's hard trying to figure out what direction to go, without any real guidance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best advice I guess would be like I when I stopped, I started like tried to read like a book a week, so I was doing like a book a week trying to figure out what I want to do. Like it's stuff that has to like pique your interest. You have to want to do it. Has to feel challenging, and then also has to make you enough money to live off of.
Yeah, that's true. And like I said earlier, everyone's got to be ready to take that pay cut, focus on what you want to do, and eventually the money will catch up, and then you'll have the money and the better quality of life.
Yeah.
All right, man. Is there anything you want to add to the people before we take off? I know it's late in New York.
No. You got? I don't think so.
All right, Jesse. I appreciate your time, brother. It's good to hear you. Good to see you. We'll catch up again soon.
Sounds good, man.
Bye, brother. Later.